Hey there everyone, and welcome to another episode of Chaz Just Played, the series where I talk about a board game that I, just played. Thank goodness I named the series the correct thing. Today's game is a special treat because I have here samurais in starship form in Starship Samurai, the game, by Isaac Vega. Very nice gentleman. This is a 2 to 4 player game that says it takes about 60 to 90 minutes to play, and I played it with the full complement of 4 players, and with 4 players it did turn out to be just about a 90-minute game. The premise of this game is that the Galactic Emperor, Woshi, has just died, and the tenuous peace that she forged among the interstellar clans of the Lotus Galaxy, well, has just fallen apart. In the wake of all of this chaos, you, yes, you, the leader of a powerful and influential clan, must bring honor to your people and claim the galactic throne. Nothing short of the peace of the entire cosmos is at stake here. The pressure is enormous. It makes the SATs look like child's play. So how is your clan going to be bringing intergalactic planetary peace to the cosmos? Well, here's how it works. So the game will be played between 2 to 4 players, and depending on the number of players, a certain number of planets will be laid out on the board, and each of these planets has several spots where you can park little spaceships, really big spaceships, or ludicrously huge space samurai to help build up your power and influence around that planet. But this game isn't about just creating as many spaceships as possible and cramming them down your opponent's throat. Actually, there's a lot more nuance to how this game plays. The first of which being the way that the players take their turns, which is the first thing about this game that I really liked. Each player is going to have one of these player boards. And these player boards have 4 different actions that you can take on your turn. And each player has 4 little discs numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4 that they can play. And on your turn, you can take one of those discs and put them on one of these 4 locations. And each of these locations does something special. One allows you to earn some money, one of them allows you to build ships, one of them allows you to draw strategic cards to your hand, and the other allows you to influence these various clans that will give you victory points. Now on your turn, you're simply going to choose one of your discs, 1, 2, 3, 4, and place it on one of these spots. And the higher the number of the disc that you put on that spot, the bigger result will be triggered. For example, if I put a 1 disc on the draw cards, I'll draw 1 card. If I put the 4 disc on draw cards, I'll draw 4 cards, and so on and so forth. So on my turn, I'm going to simply put down one of my remaining discs on one of these spots, and then I'm going to take that action, and then the next player is going to do the same. Disc, action. Next player, disc action, Gets back to me, I have 3 discs remaining, I'll put one of my remaining discs on one of those actions. I can even put it on the same action. If I drew 4 cards last time, and for some reason I want to try drawing 3 more cards this time, I could do that. Then, after I do it, next player takes their action, and so on and so forth, until we've gone all the way around 4 times, and each of us has used all of our discs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm going to pause there real quick because that action selection mechanism I absolutely loved. It keeps the pace of the game brisk, it doesn't lead to a lot of analysis paralysis, and it makes the rounds go quick enough that it's really easy to stay engaged during everyone else's turn. While I was playing this game, there were nearly 0 rounds in which I sat there just kind of daydreaming, waiting for the turn to get back to me. All right, so that mechanism is how you're going to get money, cards in your hand, ships out around the planets, and also victory points on these different various tracks. So that kind of gets everything out on the board. And then, after everyone has taken their 4 actions for the round, you resolve each of the conflicts at the planets. Because, over the course of the round, more and more ships are going to have built up around each one of these planets, and now you gotta resolve these conflicts. And resolving conflicts is pretty easy. You pretty much just look at all the ships in the samurai that are around each planet, and each one has a certain power, and you count up the total power each player has, and whoever has the most power around that planet wins. Like, a little spaceship is worth 1 power point, a big spaceship is worth 2 power points, and the samurais have a varying amount of power, but they're usually 3 or more. I got 3 of these little ships, and you got 1 big ship at it? Well, you got 2 power, but I got 3 power, so I win. But the battle resolution brings me to the second thing about this game I really liked. So here's one of the planets, and imagine this is on the table, and it's going to have all these different spaceships around the planet. And so when the battle is resolved, the winner takes all of their ships off of the planet and puts them back in their reserve and takes the reward, but all of the losers keep their ships there. So that alone was kind of a mechanism that prevented a rich get richer kind of scenario. If I win this planet, well, my ships are gone, so I'm not going to just keep winning it over and over and over again. The people who didn't win it, they're going to have a better chance of winning it next time because their ships remain from round to round until they win the planet. I thought that was really clever, and it was a really simple way to accomplish that, which seemed to be kind of a recurring theme through this game. Everything that you could have done was done as simply and straightforward as possible, keeping things streamlined, not necessarily easy or dumbed down, but kept it streamlined and moving along at a nice brisk pace. So each round, each planet that you're battling for is going to have one of these little cards assigned to it. And when you win that planet, you take the card and you get its reward. For example, this one gives you 1 influence with that little pink stripy clan and 1 victory point. Poof, you get those. And then a new card comes on the planet that everyone will start battling for with a slightly different effect next round. And so gameplay continues round through round, and there's a finite number of these planet cards. So every single round, more and more of these planet cards will be put on the table, and as soon as you run out, game's over. Then everybody adds up the victory points that they've accumulated, and the player with the most points wins. Presto bingo! Game's done. All right, so that in a nutshell is an overview of Starship Samurai. And like I said, I played this game with a full complement of 4 players at my last game day. And when we got done with this game, we had some words for it. And that is brisk. This game kept a very brisk pace. When we got done, everyone was like, wow, that game did not overstay its welcome. It had a really good pacing. That was really cool. But I don't want to give the impression that this was just kind of a quick game with no thought. Even though it did kind of have that quick pacing to it, there were lots of opportunity for thought and decision making in this game. I loved the action selection mechanism because the 1, 2, 3, 4 numbered chips that you have, you really have to decide, well, do I want to use my big numbers early, my small numbers? If I use my number 4, that's a resource that's gone for the rest of this round, and everybody knows it. So you have to decide which order you're using these and where you're placing them on your boards. And that I really, really liked. It reminded me a lot of whatever the game is called that has I could get up and I could go look at my shelf right now. I could go cheat and look at what the game is, but I'm going to sit here. I'm going to remember, even though the name of the game is escaping me. Oh, what are you called? Kingsburg! That's the name of the game, Kingsburg. It reminds me of Kingsburg, when you have the numbered discs that you will use to raise an army at the end of each year. And when you use 1 disc, well, it's gone for the next year. I really like that variant in Kingsburg, and I really like the balance that introduced. All right, so was there anything about the game that we thought stunk like feet? Well, the most obvious thing is that it is really difficult to tell whose samurais are who when they're all out on the board. I had heard of this complaint even before playing the game myself, and I thought, oh, people are just being too nitpicky. All you gotta do is keep your eye on the prize and look at the board. You'll be able to... No, within the first 2 turns, I had the same problem. I would look at all of these little samurais around all these planets across the board. I couldn't tell whose was whose from across the board very easily either. And it's so frustrating because, to a layman who's just playing the game, you'd think the solution would have been really simple by introducing some of the little colored stands that Rising Sun and other games have that the different samurais could have just clicked into with the player's color. And over the course of the game, you could just have the samurai have that color, and then when you're done, pop them off. And the next time you play, pop on the base of the corresponding color and you're good to go. Didn't have any of these, though. These are from Rising Sun. And to be honest, that was one of the biggest bummers with the game when we played. The lack of ability to clearly differentiate whose samurais were who as you're looking at them from across the table. But the rest of Starship Samurai was not all rainbows and kitten kisses either. There was one other item that caused some dissent among the other players, and that was the card play. Now, the way that you play cards themselves, like everything else in the game, was very streamlined, very straightforward, and easy to comprehend and do. No problems there. But there are several different types of cards included with the game. You can get order cards, which are used during the order-giving phase of the game, and you can get battle cards, which are used only when you are about to engage with battle with someone at the end of the round. So those 2 types of cards can only be used under those very specific circumstances. And one of the problems that some of the players had during the game was they were drawing a bunch of order cards when they wanted a bunch of battle cards and vice versa. And they were left feeling that, well, the drawing of cards was a little bit chaotic and a little bit random, and they feel like they kind of got, screwed over just by the luck of the draw. And now I have a mess to clean up, so good job. Sometimes after you play a game with gamers, you get done and everybody sits around kind of talking about how the game could be improved, and if I made this game, I would do this, and what this game needed? It needed X, Y, and Z, and I think that this was overpowered, or this was underpowered, and you're just like, shut up and enjoy the game! But sometimes, when you hear those conversations after a game, the players were onto something. And I think that this was the case with the card play. Now, to be fair, the randomness and the luck of the card draw didn't really bother me myself that much because, I admit, I like a little bit of, chaos or even controlled chaos in the games that I play. It didn't bug me as much, but I did see how it bothered everyone else. And the suggestion did come up afterwards that, instead of blindly drawing cards to your hand off the top of the deck, if there was like a purchase row of cards set up on the table that you could purchase, and then when you buy one, a new one fills in, or even at the end of your turn, a new one fills in or something like that, having a market of cards available could have been one of the ways to kind of minimize the randomness of the card draw and also allow players one more strategic decision as they played. And I do have to admit, after hearing them make their case for it, I could see that as a way to further improve the game and its strategic layers without making it that much more complex. So, yeah, I could totally see that. Now, did those two things completely ruin the gameplay experience for myself and the other players? Well, fortunately, no. I heard everyone mention that they would play this game again. Would they organize an entire game day with Starship Samurai as the central focal point that the whole day's built around? Well, probably not. But would they gladly play it again if it hit the table? Yes, everyone agreed that they absolutely would. So there's my initial impressions of Starship Samurai, having just played it. I thought it was very fun and enjoyable. It had a great pace to it. It by far did not overstay its welcome. I am going to keep it in my collection and bring it out from time to time as kind of a more meaty, a little bit of a heavier filler, but still something that's going to be on the fillerish side, probably. I'm just saying words now. I don't even know what I'm saying. I loved the streamlined gameplay that still allowed you to make some really good tactical decisions. I loved the action selection system. And the few speed bumps that were encountered during the gameplay were not total deal breakers. Now, would I recommend that you drop everything and race out and buy a copy of it right now, this instant? Well, to be honest, no. But I do definitely recommend playing it and giving it a try. And if you do like it, it's certainly worth adding to your collection to bring out in those type of circumstances. It was fun. It was certainly engaging throughout, which was great. And it's a game that I'm glad that I just played. What game will I be playing next? Well, I don't know. So you're just going to have to stay tuned to find out. And in the meantime, for more board game news, reviews, and commentary, be sure to subscribe to Pair of Dice Paradise. And remember that videos like this are made possible by viewers just like you who've been supporting Pair of Dice Paradise's Pod Pledge fundraiser page. Thank you to everyone who has been supporting the channel. Every little bit really does help, and it's all greatly appreciated. Until next time, I've been Chaz Marler. Thanks for watching, and take care. Hey there everyone, and welcome to another episode of Chaz Just Played. Chaz clearly differentiate who samurai was who from across the board, from across the table. That one, the second one, that's what actually happened. That's the true story. Sorry for the lies. While we were playing it. Ooh. And bye. And I can remember all the fancy bits that went on, and then I share those fancy bits with you. But not you, Ernie. Everyone but Ernie.